Good evening, Breda. Are you having a good time? Yes. I am super glad to be here, because I had to wait all day for this moment. So thank you for still being here, everyone. In 2010, I lived on Greenland for 3 months. And I tried to understand the people there, and I also tried to understand the social impact of climate change. Because I thought, where else in the world can you find the answers to those questions? And even leaving the plane was breathtaking, because I walked into a thin, cold air of minus 25 degrees. Although the locals thought it was unusually warm, because they thought, well, it should be colder now. It should be minus 30, 35 perhaps. It was February, it was wintertime. So I lived there for 3 months, and I spoke to many people. Since I'm an anthropologist, I try to understand other people. And I talked to fishermen who went out in their open boats every day onto the sea, small open boats, to provide for their families. I talked to scientists. I talked to politicians. I talked to captains of industry, businessmen. And I also kept the Secretary of Finance waiting, because I didn't know I had an appointment. That happens on Greenland too. I think I missed an opportunity there. However, all the stories I heard were really intense. They were different and yet similar. So they were about fishermen who had to go farther north because the fish was moving up north because of the warming of the seas. So the fish moved up north and the fishermen had to follow, which took time, energy, money, dangers. So it was intense. I talked to fishermen who were out of a job because there wasn't fish anymore, or there was a different species that they weren't used to. So they were out of a job, and they moved to the capital of Nuuk, 17,000 people, in search of jobs that were not always there for them. I was in small communities, and I heard stories of fishermen who disappeared under the unstable ice because they couldn't use it as a transport way anymore. So they left behind families in grief, communities in economic problems. So the impact of climate change, the social impact of climate change, really struck me there. I thought it was really intense. But this is not a story about Greenland. This is a story about us. Because climate change looks differently everywhere. In Greenland, it looks like melting ice. In Tuvalu, it looks like a rising sea level and disappearing islands. In Bangladesh, it looks like a salinizing Sweetwater delta. In Brazil, it looks like rapid deforestation. In the USA and the Caribbean, it looks like superstorms, hurricanes, floodings. And in Europe, it looks like extreme warmth, heat waves, forest fires in Sweden. It looks also like heavy rainfall, as we heard today, and storms as well, flooding perhaps. So the consequences of climate change look differently everywhere, and yet they severely affect the way we live, the way we work, the way we travel, the way we build our society. So I came home enchanted by the beauty of the Arctic. It really is enchanting, it's beautiful. And yet I was in shock of what's happening in the world. I really was in shock. And perhaps I still am, I don't know. I haven't found the answer to that question yet. The interesting thing is that we try to solve our problems with technology. We try to innovate our way out of this. We develop new business cases and believe, think, hope that they will get us out of this problem or challenge. But I don't believe in that. Of course, they are helpful, but they don't provide us with the fundamental solutions we need to tackle this problem. If we don't do anything, if we remain sort of doing what we're doing, then probably in about a generation, big parts, major parts of this Earth, of this planet, will be uninhabitable. I think that's an intense reality to really feel. I think so. The thing is, new business cases, new technology isn't going to help us. I think we really need to change ourselves. I think we need different mindsets, different behavior, and I think we need to do something with our culture. I like to say we need a culture change, and I'll talk about it more later. I believe we really need to change. And I just said the word culture. So you might wonder, this culture thing, what's culture anyway? I mean, there's been libraries on it, books have been written on it. So what's culture anyway? And I think culture is a lot, and it also comes down to some few simple notions. I think every group of people, every social group, whether it's a team, whether it's an organization, a company, a society, a group of listeners, an audience, and me, because I'm also part of this group, I think every group has to find answers to universal questions. And every group gives different answers. And it's questions like, what do we think is true or untrue? What do we believe to be beautiful, and what do we think is ugly? What do we believe is right, and what's wrong? And the combination of all those answers, they sort of define our cultural answers. The funny thing is, you can see them in our norms and values and belief systems, but they are still intangible, right? They also, all these cultural assumptions and all our answers, they solidify in our behavior, in our procedures, in our policies, in buildings, in our urban designs, in our car parks, in everything. You can see it everywhere. Culture is everywhere. So if I talk about culture change, I think we need to change all those things as well, which is a big challenge, I know. I know. But I think we really need to change. And I think we need a different mindset to get there. So, culture change. All right. Isn't it something for our governments or the big companies to work on? I think the answer is yes. I think it definitely is a task for governments, and it definitely is a task for governments, for companies to behave like decent citizens. And I think it definitely is something for governments to provide better answers to the challenges we're facing. I do. But I also think that's too easy. I think it's also up to us. I think it's up to us. Also because it's not only too easy, but there's great fun in building a new, better, beautiful society that is future-proof, that is sustainable, that's inclusive. Would you want to miss that? Would you want to miss that opportunity? And a great quote I recently found, and I want to share with you, don't ask what the planet can do for you, ask what you can do for the planet, and what you can do for society. I think that's interesting. I also think, I believe, we need to stop pushing the envelope and think, well, the generations following us, they will solve the mess we create. I think we need to stop doing that. I think we need to become leaders ourselves. I think we need better leaders, but I also think we need to become leaders ourselves, rebels waiting. To challenge the status quo, to ask questions, to start conversations about what world we want to live in, about what answers and cultural assumptions we have. What does it mean to live in this world? What does it mean to work in this world? What does it mean to travel the way we do? What does it mean to eat what we do? All those things. And I think we need to find other answers, different answers than we do now. And that's challenging, I know. I'm with you. It's challenging for me. I think we need better answers. And imagine you're in Hawaii. It's wonderful, right? Ocean, palm trees, lazy, set back, relaxed. Story goes, in Hawaii, the indigenous people in Hawaii, they take major decisions based on the impacts those decisions have on the following 9 generations. 9 generations. That's about 135 years, give or take. I think if we would start doing a little bit like that, we would start making different decisions. I really do. So wouldn't it be wonderful to be a bit more like the Hawaiian people? Right? And what we also need to do is to imagine a world where we are reconnected with the place that we live. Imagine a world in which we are reconnected to each other. Imagine a world where we are reconnected to ourselves. Imagine. It's a different world. Imagine we're living in a world built on green, sustainable foundations in its DNA. Imagine a world in which the oceans are plastic-free. Rivers are full with fish and clean water. Imagine we have living green cities, green environments, in which the trees provide coolness to our houses. They clean the air. Imagine a world of working with nature instead of against it. Imagine a world where our food comes from nature-inclusive production ways, without pesticides. We don't need that. We can work with nature instead of against it. Imagine a world where energy is fully abundant because we tap into the system of solar, of wind, of tidal power, all those things. Energy is abundant, it's all there. We just need to find different answers, right? And imagine a world where companies and organizations, they improve and increase the happiness and the health and the well-being of its employees, of its customers, of its suppliers, of other people involved, of its managers and directors. Imagine that world. That would be a different world, right? I believe it's within our grasp. I really do. Because the thing is, we're all social beings. So the thing is, we are all highly connected to other people. And in all of our roles, as a mother, a father, my parents are here, a child, a colleague, a team member, an engaged citizen, a demanding client of any company. In all of those roles, we can ask questions, we can spark conversations, we can challenge the status quo, we can be rebels. And I think we need to do that. I think we need that different mindset, and I think we get that culture change we so dearly need, because if we don't, inaction means big parts of the planet will be uninhabitable in, let's say, a generation. We don't want it. I don't want it. I hope you don't. So I think it's within our grasp, but we need to start acting, and we need to start doing that, not even tomorrow, but tonight, if you go home, or if you stay here, if you have conversation with people you just met, or you are about to meet. I think we really need to do that. It's within our grasp. So I think, and that's where I'm going to conclude, I think we need to rewrite the unwritten rules of culture. And I think we need to be green rebels for a green, future-proof, sustainable, inclusive culture. And that is up to you and to me. Thank you for listening.